The following game has no ESRB rating, nor is there any sort of restrictive content warning or any sort of warning as to what may be in the game. From what I have played so far, it doesn't seem to have anything worrisome in terms of age-restrictive content. So if I were to guess, if it were to have an ESRB rating, I would say most likely it would be rated E for everyone. So following that guess, and having never completed the game, I can't say exactly the whole of it just from my experience, but I would say that anyone under the age of 6 should not be watching this video. You have been warned. Greetings and salutations, I am Outlier, and I bid you welcome to this channel. Joining me today is, of course, my usual co-hosts, Snowball and Wolf. And today we're returning back to Autonauts. Yeah, well, I think there's fish in the game, but no, this isn't the one where you dive underwater. I don't think there's an underwater mechanic. At least I haven't found it yet. Yeah, what Wolf said. So the premise of Autonauts is that you are in charge of building a colony for your people on a faraway world. And while you can build every structure, harvest every tree, and mine every rock personally, you don't have to, in that you have the means of constructing an entire army of programmable robots, which basically do all the menial labor for you. There is that chance, yes, but they're lacking several key aspects to truly become fully independent. Most notably, the ability to be self-aware, lack of memory to actually complete large, massive, complex tasks, as opposed to picking up resource A, taking it to place B, using C function to turn it into something else, and then taking output from action C at location B to place D, where he then gets dropped off, which is then picked up by somebody else and used for purpose E's through F. That's only 2 letters. E's through the rest of the alphabet. They also lack means of constructing more of themselves. Well, yes, for now. Sort of, kind of ish. They did also not have the ability to recharge each other, but I got tired of wandering around recharging every robot myself, so I built robots to do that for me. To an extent. They only have a limited search area. But I digress. This game is, of course, made by Thank you again. And that being said, let us begin. Okay, so this is the colony. At least what passes for the colony so far. I have a whopping 3 colonists that are living in shacks. They're being fed raw food. I think this is a shack. Anyway, they're being fed raw food, and they produce what's known as WUB, which is crystalline. Let's not head all the way over there. So I actually picked up a colony. My mistake. As I was saying, which is crystallized. I don't want to call it affection, but it's something. You get it when the colonists are happy. So I guess this is as close to as affection as, well, anybody will feel in this game, given the fact that most people are just simply robots. And you then take that WUB and, near as I can tell, just simply use it to research more interesting and impressive equipment, structures, and robots. Recharge you. So as of last episode, I started replacing Smith & Sons, the robots that are the robot group that is making my tools and, well, yeah, just tools actually, with better robots, because the basic bots, one bot can build the thing, but they don't have enough memory to actually pick everything up and take it over to where they need to. You? What is wrong with you? Weird. Outsides are full, that's why they're not working on sides. I'm sorry, I got distracted trying to figure out what's going on with Smith & Sons. Why there was one robot just sitting there with a big hammer. Just sitting on the output area. It turns out something faulty with his logic, but it got fixed for, well, now. And I'm in the process of doing, well, other things. So yeah, I was in the process of upgrading them as I lost my train of thought. As I was saying, it takes 2 basic robots to basically perform the function of gather all the resources, build the tool, take the tool, and dump it off at the tool dumping area, which then gets picked up by somebody else to actually use the tool. So the standard bots allow me to basically do all that with just one robot. And as I've been replacing the basic bots in Smith & Sons, I've been using them for other things. So for instance, last episode we had built this pumpkin patch. I had expected to be, well, more filled with pumpkins, but I guess it takes longer to dig a hole than it does for the pumpkins to grow and for the pumpkins to be chopped down, as it were. And somebody's offline, but he's getting recharged. So that's why most of the field is fallow, and I have like 6 pumpkins available. But a lot of these robots came from Smith & Sons. I think I maybe built 1, maybe 2. And the rest were repurposed bots from the tool factory. Another issue they keep running into as of late is the lumber yard. Apparently the trees are growing slower than the robot can chop them down. So, constantly running out of trees and becoming more stumps than actual trees as of late. I did have this area specifically for gathering sticks and, well, to be fair, just sticks, because I needed them to hit the, to make... So I needed the sticks for the robots to actually harvest berries from. Womp, womp. Alright, where's the mushroom? Recharge you. And then you can recharge everybody else. Constantly running out of power is one of the main issues that I seem to have with the robots. And yes, I know I did say I have recharging robots, but they have a limited range that they can actually work. So, like, for instance, the rechargers for the field teams can only cover 1 square around the actual field. That's actually by design. But, you know, somebody like, say, over here, where there's no field and no coverage from the recharger, they run out of power here, and, well, that's it. So, for instance, all the robots I have hauling berries and mushrooms and apples over to the colonists area for the caretaker team. I keep forgetting what I call them. They are... the caretakers would then gather the food from here and then feed the colonists. So that's a basic gist, said in rather complex terms, times, things. Anyway, I digress yet again. So that's basically how I've got what I did last time. Rewind these guys. So if we look at our challenges or quests, we have cooking, farming cereal crops, and science. Science is going to take forever because the current level of tech requires about 500 WUV per thing, and he's hauling it in 1 WUV at a time. So that's kind of passive. Once that gets done, I just simply need to select a new task and keep going. So for cooking, I need to build a mixing pot and build a crude mixing pot and build a crude cooking pot. I also then need to forge and store food, which I've already done. I don't know why the crude cooking pot's flagged in red. I may not actually have it. Although it says the research station built is also flagged in red, but this is the research station here. Let's not mess with it. Rewind you though. Oh, no, he's got it. Yeah, so okay, so I have the crude mixing pot. I don't have the crude cooking station. I do have access to the research station, so I don't know quite what that's about. So if we go to the Autonautpedia, there is currently working on power technology, which will get me fire. And cooking technology for 2,500 WUV will get me the crude cooking pot and I guess some basic recipes. That's going to be a while, so we're not going to be focusing on cooking right now, although I could probably build a mixing pot and they'd probably make something better. So let's put a mixing pot, well, here I guess. I need 6 planks and a pole. Now yes, I can have the robots do construction, but I find using the robots is best for constantly mass-produced items. So like for instance, building this cooking pot, I would have to program a robot to basically build this cooking pot, and only this cooking pot. And you train a robot by basically having it record what you do. So, in order to actually program a robot to build a cooking pot, I would need to technically build 2 cooking pots. Well, I would technically need to build 1, but once it's built, I wouldn't technically need it for, well, anything else. Now, using the cooking pot on the other hand, I can actually... Yeah, so I do get some basic recipes, so I don't have access to carrots. Don't quite know how to get weeds, though. If they come from the cereal crop. Well, I also don't have access to clay pots and arguably fresh water. Yeah, there's that. So, I'm assuming if I use the crude mixing pot to make food for the colonists, they would appreciate it as opposed to being just tossed raw apples and berries and mushrooms. So, in order to actually get this up and running, I would need to figure out how to get weeds, but, I would also need a robot. As I said, I'd prefer not to use the robots for constructing things, well, for constructing actual structures, like, say, the crude mixing pot and the like, but for using it, that's a repetitive, mass-produced thing that I generally have them do. And so, to build a robot, we can just simply go to the bot assembly unit to, well, build a basic robot, or since this seems to be rather more complex than just your standard average, do any, harvest berries and the like, and they are out of power yet again. Although this time it's the berrymen that are out of power. So, as I was saying, I would have a robot basically gather all the resources, build it, and then take this to a dumping area for the caretakers to then use, to then feed the colonists. So I would need I would need storage for pretty much everything that gets made at one of those pots. But as I said, that's going to take a while, so instead we're going to focus on farming. So I'm going to need to 30 units of soil, sow 50 units of cereal seeds, grow 100 crops, scythe down 30 cereal crops, thresh 30 cereal crops, and store 50 cereal seeds. And we do have cereal crops right here, which are wild variants. Also have grass here. I wonder if this is where weeds come from. So I'm going to have to start figuring out how to grow grass. And of course, to do any of that, I'm going to need a field. Luckily, I have a spare, well, forest here that I'm not using. So first thing we're going to need to do is, well, figure out how to grow cereal crops in the first place. But in addition to that, we are going to need the lumberjacks, because Mark 1 robot needs to chop down all these trees. So what we're going to do is have him stop his current orders. We're going to have him record, then find the nearest tree in this area. We're going to move his search parameters over to this field. And then we're going to have him play. So rather than just chopping down every little tree that he can find in this area, he's going to chop down every little tree he can find in this area. Of course, that does mean because the recharger isn't covering this field, he runs out of power, he's going to stay unpowered until, well, I can get somebody to recharge him. In the meantime, it should allow everybody else to catch up in regrowing all the trees here. So now we have to wait for this area to get prepped, and where are the pumpkin pickers? Because they need to be recharged. I should also probably increase the amount of people shoveling dirt in this area. So what we're going to do is build another robot to replace, well, another pair here. don't think I have too many basic bots working Smith & Sons. An odd number of robots. Of course, one's the recharger, so that will probably explain why. Okay. So I got 6 pairs of robots I can replace at Smith & Sons. And we're going to replace, well, 1 pair with a basic bot. So we're going to need a plank and tree seed for the head. And unlike the basic robots, the standard robots, I misnamed them. You need to build their parts independently, and then take the parts over to the assembly plant for final assembly. So we have to build a head, a body, and feet, independent of the actual robot. One thing I had planned was to basically build multiple copies of these, build robots to man these, and then just mass produce these kinds of parts. Since there's 3 parts here, I would need to build 3 workstations. Not to mention storage for all the little parts. And extra storage area and extra construction storage areas if I ever manage to figure out how to get the upgrades installed in robots. So far I haven't quite figured that out. I don't even know if the standard bot can even take upgrades. I'm fairly certain the basic bot does not. So for the feet we need a log, a plank, and a pole. And for the body we needed, I think, 2 planks and a pole. I believe that was. And of course, the lumberjack is completely out of power now. So, let me finish building this robot, and then I'll go recharge him. Alright, so the sides are, well, basically filled, as is the crude blades, so should give stone storage a chance to fully fill back in, because last episode I built these areas and didn't consider the overabundance of stone usage, so my stone stockpile ran out and threw everything well forward. So we now have bot mark 1005 built, and I can have him replace a couple robots here. However, as I said, I'm going to recharge this guy so that we can keep chopping things down. And now that that's done, look at, I'll have them replace hammers. So, who's building hammers and smithing? 49. Now 49's taking the materials to storage. So it's 49 and whoever you are. Making sticks and stones. He's actually out of power. That's the recharge. Why the recharge? Oh, I was gonna say, why isn't the recharger recharging the robot? Not quite certain what he's doing. Not quite certain what he's doing. Okay, so it's 48 that's making the mallets. So we're going to have him stop. .49 will also stop because we don't need them for right now. I also want 48 to empty his hands because he may have a hole in the way. And we're going to train. We should probably clear the workshop first. But we're going to train 105 to. That's a hammer. Why is he holding a hammer? So, now that that's clear, a thunderstorm starts. So we're going to have 105 record, and the first thing he's going to do is he's going to go over here and grab a log. I'm going to drop that off, because he can't carry any. In regards to logs, he can only carry one log at a time. He's going to go and get a pole. Set this. Take a pole and then put it here. Alright. He's going to do this until, well, actually, hang on, I don't actually need this just yet. He's then going to take this. You know, in the past, for two robots, the one building the workstation would work until this spot is filled, and then he just keeps going back, so that way I don't have a massive stack of, like, gears just sitting here. And, but the standard bot has enough memory to actually be able to build the item and then take it to storage directly. So, I'm going to have him do all of this until question mark is filled, and we're going to designate the question mark wooden mallet storage, and he's going to do all of that forever. 1 kilobyte of information. Oh, he has 1 kilobyte of memory left over, so I could technically give him 1 extra instruction without overloading his slightly larger but still small brain. So that should be everything, so we're going to have him play. And away he should go. So we're going to add him to Smith & Sons because he is now a Smith & Son. And 48 and 49 we are just going to grab because they're no longer needed for Smith & Sons. Now instead, what I'm going to have them do is I'm going to have them help the pumpkin pickers dig holes to plant more pumpkins. So first thing I'm going to do is give 48 a spade, because he's going to be doing the digging. And we're going to remove all of his programming for his new job. So we come here and we dig. That's all I want you to do. The area that you're going to search for is going to be 11 by 11. Then when you're done, just move on to the next area. Do that forever, and go. So 48 should now be helping the pumpkin pickers dig holes. So he gets added to there, and then 49, wherever he is, I mean he's right there, but 49 also gets all of this removed. What he's going to do is he's going to go over here, grab a pumpkin seed, and then plant it. That same amount of the field, and move everything within his forever loop. Actually, you could just get rid of that and just put in a new one, and now go. So 49 is also now a pumpkin picker, so he gets added to this team now. So now I should have twice as many robots digging holes and twice as many robots planting pumpkins. So hopefully the guy scything down the pumpkins should have more pumpkins to actually start scything down. Even though the pumpkin storage is now completely filled, so there's like massive piles of just raw pumpkin just sitting everywhere. And it'll probably get worse until I rewind him. Well, not until I rewind him. But, yes. It'll get worse until I can figure out a means of actually using the pumpkin. In the meantime, I got how many other standard bots here? Let's plump figures. Said 6 originally, so I have 14's building pickaxes, I guess. Yeah. 17's taking the pickaxes to storage. 34 is the recharger. I'll probably keep him as the recharger. And then 37 is... I'm not certain what 37 is doing. So 38 looks like he's handling the gear storage. So 37 is probably making gears. And then we have the Mark 1s. Why is it every time I turn around the recharger ran out of power, so the entire team's out of power? Also, I seem to have a food surplus. Well, surplus of quite a few things, actually. Who's the caretaker in charge of maintaining houses? Okay, so 51's working on it. Because some of the crude HUDs are, well... No, the crude HUDs are fine, it's the food that's the problem. Colonists are starving and everybody's out of power. On the plus side, the lumberjack's practically done this field, which means I could start repurposing it. Which means I need to build another standard bot. So again... head, we need a plank and a tree seed, because apparently, in order to think, robots need acorns. On the plus side, the lumberjacks chopped this entire field down, so as soon as we build this bot and get 2 more free, well, robots not doing anything from Smith & Sons, I can start repurposing this field. Alright, and there we go. So, for Smith & Sons... I got the guys doing the workbench thing. Bench 3. Yeah, so he's making... Okay, I was not expecting. I get the Auto Fruity badge because I collected 2,000 berries. Anyway, as I was saying, you stop. And 17 also stops. And so we have 106, Cord. He's going to go and get a stone. And drop it off here. Drop it off here. Get rid of the spare bits of code that's not needed. He's going to go over here, take a stick, drop this off. Going to make a pickaxe. Going to take the pickaxe, and put it here. It's going to do that until this is filled, which it technically is. It's going to do that forever. Now go. And since the pickaxes are completely filled, because the only people using pickaxes are the Stonecutters Guild, and there's only 2 of them there needing, well, pickaxes, there's a massive stockpile of pickaxes, so he won't be needed for, well, probably a while. In the meantime, 14... Stop. 14 gets the shovel. And from the board, I'm going to clear out all of this for right now. And that. 14's going to do is he's going... What 14 is going to do is he is going to dig, well, this entire field up. So we set the area to cover the field. We're good there. And we're going to do this until hands free, well, hands empty. At which point, we go and grab a new shovel. Now let's actually add the shovel. We're going to grab a new shovel. We're going to do that forever. Now go. It would be nice if there's a way to record an entire list of instructions and just transfer it from one robot to another. I'm fairly certain there is, I just haven't quite figured out how yet. Although 14, now we're going to have 14 just sitting off by himself because I don't have a team yet for this field. In the meantime, 17. Because it's probably going to take forever to actually dig everything up, we are going to... Where is 7? Oh, there he is. Take that. So, I'm going to have him basically do the exact same thing. Alright, so he's basically doing the same thing. Don't need that spare shovel. And 17 gets removed from Smith & Sons because, again, he's no longer part of that team. And I have yet to create a team to replace it. In the meantime, the Lumberjack, number 1, gets his area moved back to where it was because all these trees are now grown and he's chopped down all these trees. And if you haven't guessed by any of the episodes, I've yet to unlock metalworking, so pretty much everything that gets built from the tools to the bots themselves, all the buildings, pretty much everything but the crops uses wood in some way, in either sticks or logs or planks, which come from logs, or poles, which come from planks. And all the tools require sticks and stones, so pretty much everything is fueled by wood. Which would probably explain why in the introduction tutorial, the first industry that the game had me set up was the Lumberjacks. Alright, so while they're working on that, I guess I need to figure out how exactly wheat works. So I'm assuming it involves the scythe in some way. We go here. I'm guessing we just scythe everything down. Okay. So it gets us 2 cereal, but no seeds. So I have to then replant the cereal? No. So... It's just basic tips. How do I mean, I'm assuming for cereal crops, I would need to mill it in some way, because in real life, that's how it works. You just don't take a grain and just magically turn it into bread. You have to take the grain, remove the actual grain seeds from the chaff, as it were, which is the unusable or unedible parts of the plant, and then grind the seeds into flour, which you then use to make, well, bread or cookies or basically any sort of baked good or food item that requires flour in some way. And that's going to be true for every and any cereal crop, so not just wheat, also barley and rye and all that fun stuff. But how do I get cereal seeds? Probably not under food. That's various components. It would be nice if it told me exactly how these things are made. Yes, I know that's a TV show. Spot parts, various pieces. That's just food. I mean, it tells me what the... Okay, so it does tell me how to make it. Really got to pay better attention to it. So I would need the flail, which I don't have being built anywhere. Use that to on the cereal to make cereal seeds, which I would assume I could then plant or use in the watery porridge. And actually, no, loose weeds come from standard weeds, which come from soil, apparently. So I'm guessing if I leave soil fallow, weeds grow? No. Okay. So I get weeds from loose weeds that I find in soil. I can probably just replant those and they go from there, but I don't actually have loose weeds. It's not a case where I can just cut down grass and it gets me weeds plus grass. Alright, not what I was hoping for, but I now know what we need to do for these things, so we're going to need a flail. And somebody broke their shovel. Do you not have the ability to get a new shovel? We have shovels. We have shovels. Okay, which one are you? 48. 48 is not programmed to grab a new. Alright, so that's something that I did wrong. So until hands are empty, then go and grab a new shovel. Then do that forever, and here, let me just hand you that one. You go back in the box anyway. So now that that's being built, I'm going to need the crude flail, which requires 2 sticks. I've been meaning to actually build flails anyway, because the berry pickers can also use flails in addition to sticks to get their fruit down. And I wasn't paying attention to that, but I'm guessing... So we now have straw and cereal seeds, which we do not plant back. But the straw, do I plant the straw back? No. So how exactly do I get more cereal crops? Do I need to reshovel it? No. I might as well just flail that. Now that confuses me. So... I would say I feel like I'm missing a step, but I'm probably missing several steps. Go recharge the recharger. I said go recharge the recharger. And these guys as well. I'm guessing the chicken moved back to here. She's just been bouncing around back and forth. Like a random shovel just sitting there. Weird. Although it's mostly broken, so it might have been my shovel. Or somebody's shovel at some point. I think the apple pickers need flails as well to do their job. No, they actually have hammers. They have hammers which knocks the fruit down. So it's just the berry pickers that need the flail. Right? Yeah, it says just one soil and one seed. Do I not need to dig a hole? I have to dig a hole to plant everything else. Well, why not them? No, actually it says, for the tree seeds, if it needs a hole, it says hole. I guess I don't actually need a hole for the, Okay, so, in that case, these guys are doing things wrong. Because I don't actually need... Okay, 14 and 17 are just going to stop. Whatever they're doing. Because I don't need holes dug here. I mean, I technically do. I need the, stumps built. Stumps removed, so. What we're going to have you do is 14... Instead of digging everything, we are going to go alternating. So he should hit all these stumps. Now go. In fact, we're going to have 14 do the same. Alright, so now that that's over and done, now that that's made more sense, I'm going to need somewhere to set up flail construction. And, well, I mean, I have this patch right here. Smith & Sons is about to get upgraded. I do like having them all the workbenches here, but I'm out of space, so I either move everybody to incorporate it all, or, you know, I expand outward slightly this way. So this will be my flail workbench. Need 2 logs and 2 sticks for that. Recharge you on the way. And again, as I said, they can only carry, the character can only carry 1 log at a time. One, 2 sticks. The one thing I just thought of, if I only get 1 crop of seeds per, so actually no, I get 2 things of cereal per plant. I'm going to say, how exactly do I work it so that way I get a positive of cereal seeds to feed everybody if every seed that I get from 1 cereal has to go to replanting more plants. So we're going to build that, and we are going to also build storage, and that is not the blueprints. Alright, and storage requires 4 planks and 4 poles. Of course, the problem is, I don't know if this is actually outside the range of the recharger. I'm going to have to check that once I get storage built. On the plus side, it is close to the Woodcutters Guild, so I don't have to go very far for materials. Although, the actual sticks needed for construction are, over here, so it'd probably be smarter just to set it up over here instead, but I can always move the things. Oh, that's 4, okay. Second, I thought I actually missed one. Alright, so now that that's built, we're going to need to build a flail, so we're going to need 2 sticks. That's 3 sticks. Take the flail and put it here. Okay, so now that that's over and done with, this is the main thoroughfare, so I don't want to put it there. Where's the recharger for Smith and Sons? What's his area of operation? Yeah, so his area of coverage is actually here, so he wouldn't be able to cover here. So what I'm going to have to do put all this stuff. That's actually too big. Okay. There. Okay, so I need to move the robot. And you go. You can't actually fit there because there's an apple in the way. Okay. So let me clean up this area. Stop for a quick minute. I was like, can I not pick you up? But I just realized I'm holding the flail. Okay, set you down there. And then that should allow me to move this like there. And then this thusly. And then this goes here. No, not that. Okay, fine, move it 1 box at a time. Happy now? Of course, it does border the apple field, so I'm gonna have to do something with that. Of course, that's another issue for another time. So in the meantime, who are you? 1.6. They didn't add him to Smith & Sons. Go back to doing your job. Even though there isn't much to your job right now because the storage is filled. So now we're going to need to mass produce flails because we need to mass produce flails. And these guys are out of power again. Let me put this tree seed down here, and then I just recharge these guys. Alright, and so now that the new robot is built, we have him record. And first thing we do is we go over here and grab 2 sticks. Probably doesn't need the one that moves to stick storage 6 twice, but every time I just simply have him tell a robot to just take from the same area without moving back towards it, issues sometimes crop up. Like this guy's holding like 3 apples. He's supposed to be holding 4 apples, but for some reason he only grabs 3. So he's going to take the 2 sticks. He's going to come here, grab 2 sticks, come here, drop them off, make the flail. He's going to pick up the flail and drop it off here. He's going to do that until question mark. Question mark empty, question mark filled. And he's going to designate that. He's going to do that forever. Now go. 7, brand new member of Smith & Sons. And since the flails are something new, I don't have any basic robots that get replaced by him doing his thing. Oh, and now stone's completely maxed out. I went from having a surplus to having no stone available, or stone shortage I should say, to having another surplus again. Which, once I figure out another thing I need stone for, we'll probably go back to shortage. Because that is how these games work. You balance everything out and then you add something in to throw everything for a loop. Like for instance, these guys no longer need sticks. So once I recharge one of these guys, whichever one of the mushmen is the recharging bot, I guess correct. So for the mushmen, sorry, the berrymen, 21 and 25 are using sticks to harvest berries. Since we now have flails, we don't need them to use sticks. So what I'm going to have him do is empty his hands, record. Instead of grabbing a stick from stick storage, he's going to come over here to flail storage. Where he then takes a new flail. Add that to his forever loop, hand him that, and now he goes. And then 25 will be the same way. Empty your hands, get rid of this, go here and pick up a new one. Sandwich these between the loops, give this to you, and go. Okay, he's actually still holding his stick, so stop for a minute. instead of empty your hands, you take this. Now you go. I don't know if that increases the amount of berries they get, or it's just a more sturdy tool. I have no idea where the stick is that's in here, so I'm just going to drop this off here. So they don't have to get more tools faster. Well, they don't have to replace what's broken as often. So we have those guys using flails. Gotta recharge this. What's 46 doing? 46 is part of the fruit flyers. Okay. And they're the guys who harvest apples. Alright, so now that these two are done, have him stop, and have him record, go back to full. I'm going to have you do is refill in the holes. Yeah, in hindsight I probably don't actually need any of this, so let's get rid of these, stick these into his until hands empty loop, change the size of the space to here, and then go. Of course, 17 is programmed to just redig everything, so we're going to have him stop, and have him record. Again, strip all that out, and have him do the same. Stick all this in here. Change the area until, well, to the size of the field, and then go. So they should fill back in that entire field eventually. Interesting. Cereal crop wild is different from cereal crop standard. Take my tools back to my work area. This is my little work area that I have. So I have my own little workbench and various things. And since I can only carry 2 tools with me at a time because I only have a backpack, which gets me space for one, and I can just naturally carry one in my pockets anyway, all my other spare tools just sit here until I need them. Speaking of which, I probably don't need the hammer for this one, but I am going to need the scythe flail, because I don't need the shovel to dig holes. Okay, so which of the pumpkin pickers is the recharging bot? It's always the one with the question mark, because I believe this shows what they're holding. And since the recharger, all he does is just recharge the other robots, he doesn't actually hold anything. Oh look, random eggs. Chicken still around? I don't actually know. Let's plop these here so that way this guy has something to do. Oh no, there's the chicken. Oh yeah. Okay. Now, one thing I don't know is it says fertilizer, water, and till, so... You know what? I'm probably going to need to have to till the area, which is what the hoe is for. You do have somebody building hoes, right? I do not. I have axes, spades, pickaxes, flails, crude blade, scythe, wooden mallet, and gears. What happens when I till the area? Okay, so that's a thing. So instead of shoveling the area out, I'm going to need them to till it. Which means I'm going to need another robot to build hose. And since I always seem to need more robots, let's just go ahead and build the basic bot workbench. Build 3 of them, and let's put them here because I don't really have much space for anything else. Well, space for, well, anywhere else. Also going to need... Let's take a look. This gets stored in, I wonder. Okay. Well, I'm going to need to build them anyway, so I need a log, a plank, and a pole. Alright, and so they go in these little boxes as well. So I'm going to need 3 different stacks of boxes for all the parts. And then, when I need a new robot, I just grab the parts and... No, I should actually set it up here, because outside of the tree seed, everything that they're going to need is going to be over here. Of course, I do technically wonder if constructing the pieces is going to be so simple I can get away with using the basic bots. I don't think so, because it's... One plank, well, go get tree seed, go get plank. Drop both off at workstation, use. Harvest. So that's what, 8 kilobytes of data just for one thing, and basic bots I believe have... Tell me the stats for a basic bot. Bots. It just tells me the parts. Tells me how to make it. Apparently there's quite a few different kinds of robots. And you can also get trains and other automobiles. And I have mulberries too. Alright, I'm guessing you won't have enough space to build everything. So first thing we're going to need to do is... You know what? Let's try something out. You. Board. You know what it is? 4, 6, 8. He's not gonna have enough. Yeah, he's not going to have enough memory just to build one of these things. So we're going to have to do that manually. So let's haul 4 logs this way. And I'm not using this for this construction area because I want to keep this for my own purposes. So I have my own separate area to actually do anything that I need without disturbing the actual robots. Rewind you. No, not grab a stick. Rewind you. Alright, so that's one build, but you know what, where's storage? So let's get storage. Pile them all. You know what? Hang on. Pile them all here real quick. If I could just move the entire stack all at once, it'd be nice. But apparently I can't because they're not filled with anything. Of here, you go here, you go there. Okay, so there we go. Then I just want to see if the standard bots can actually build, well, more parts for themselves. Alright, so what's the most complex thing we have? I guess technically the drive section, so you, Cord, going to need you to come over here and grab a log. And grab a plank. Then a pole. Then you're going to have to grab this and dump it here. And that actually takes up more information than he actually has. Right, so I'm actually going to need, if I want the robots to build the things, I'm actually going to need 2 robots to gather. One robot, basically what I was doing with the basic bots for Smith and Sons. One robot actually gathers the resources and builds the thing. The other takes it to store, because I have, in order to basically do everything, it's 1 more kilobyte than the standard bot has room for. And that's not even counting the 2 loops where work until empty and until this thing is full, I should say, and then do that forever. So I do know that there's a mod to increase the information capacity for the robots. It's actually crude energy upgrade and speed, but I don't actually know how to actually build, well, install the upgrades. I mean, if I even can install upgrades, I don't actually know what robot used. Yeah, the brain upgrade fit more memory instructions, but I don't know how to install it into the bots. Unless I actually need to build it, you know, dump it here, and then add it to the assembly plant. Alright, so it won't let me actually add it that way.
just gets him to hold it. See, it's got little 2+. I can't actually show you with the mouse, but in the Autobots analysis, but Mark 1008 has 2 little pluses next to his picture, whereas the basic bots just have 1+. I'm assuming that's where the upgrades go. I just don't know how to... This is my inventory. I don't know how to access the robot's inventory to get in upgrades. So that's the entire loop. I just put it in just so that way it's there. But it's 3 kilobytes over what the basic bot can handle. So if I can figure out how to install this memory upgrade, let's trade. Okay. Alright, so this is just hats and backpack slot. Okay, so that's how we upgrade the robots. I actually have to physically open this up. I have to click here, bot trade, and that allows me to install the upgrade. So now that I've installed the upgrade, he now has 1 extra kilobyte free, so he can now do what he needs to do. Let's now go. And the upgrades are right there. So in reality, I'm going to need a 4th one for here because in addition to building all the bot parts, I'm also going to need to build the upgrades. Although, I mean, I've been getting away without needing a memory upgrade for all the others so far, but at least for these 3, I'm going to need memory upgrades for them at the very least. Although, since everybody seems to be running low on power, what I could do is build a large amount of new batteries and just install them in all now 68 robots that I have. But that's going to be another issue for another day, because I'm going to call it here.
Everybody stay safe from the plague and have a good day.